Inner octaves. In order to better understand the significance of the law of octaves, it is necessary to have a clear idea of another property of vibrations, namely the so-called inner vibrations. This means that within vibrations, other vibrations proceed and that every octave can be resolved into a great number of inner octaves. In other words, each note of any octave can be regarded as an octave on another plane. Each note of these inner octaves again contains a whole octave and so on, for some considerable way, but not ad infinitum because there is a definite limit to the development of inner octaves. These inner vibrations proceed simultaneously in media of different density, interpenetrating one another, they are reflected in one another and give rise to one another, stop, impel or change one another and so on. Imagine then, vibrations in a substance or a medium of a certain definite density. Let us suppose this substance or medium to consist of the comparatively coarse atoms of world 48, each of which is, so to speak, an agglomeration of 48 primordial atoms. The vibrations that proceed in this medium are then divisible into octaves, and the octaves themselves are divisible into notes. Imagine further, that we have taken one octave of these vibrations for the purpose of analysis. We need first to realize that within the limits of this octave proceed the vibrations of a still finer substance. The substance of world 48 is saturated with substance of world 24. The vibrations in the substance of world 24 stand in a definite relation to the vibrations in the substance of world 48. Namely, each note of the vibrations in the substance of world 48 contains a whole octave of the vibrations in the substance of world 24. These are the inner octaves. The substance of world 24 is in its turn permeated with the substance of world 12. In this substance there are also vibrations, and each note of the vibrations of world 24 contains a whole octave of the vibrations of world 12. The substance of world 12 is permeated with the substance of world 6. In this substance there are again vibrations, and each note of the vibrations of world 12 contains a whole octave of the vibrations of world 6. The substance of world 6 is permeated with the substance of world 3, and world 3 is permeated with the substance of world 1. Corresponding vibrations exist in each of these worlds and the order always remains the same, namely that each note of the vibrations of a coarser substance contains a whole octave of the vibrations of a finer substance. If we begin then with vibrations of world 48, we can say that one note of the vibrations in this world contains an octave or 7 notes of the vibrations of the planetary world. Each note in its turn, of the vibrations in the planetary world contains 7 notes of the vibrations in the world of the Sun. Each vibration in the world of the Sun contains 7 notes of the vibrations in the galaxy and so on. The study of inner octaves, the study of their relation to outer octaves, and the possible influence of the former upon the latter, constitutes a very important part of the study of the world and of man. The ray of creation, like every other process that is complete at a given moment, can be regarded as an octave. This would be an example of a descending octave, in which Do passes into T, T into La and so on. The absolute or all, world 1, will be Do, all worlds, world 3. T, all suns, world 6. La, our sun, world 12. So, all planets, world 24. Fa, the earth, world 48. Me, the moon, world 96. Ray. The ray of creation begins with the absolute. The absolute is all. It is Do. The ray of creation ends in the moon, and beyond the moon there is nothing. This also is the absolute, Do. In examining the ray of creation or cosmic octave, we see that intervals should come in the development of this octave. The first between Do and T, that is between world 1 and world 3, between the absolute and all worlds, and the second between Fa and Me, namely between world 24 and world 48, between all planets and the earth. The first interval is filled by the will of the absolute. One of the manifestations of the will of the absolute consists precisely in the filling of this interval, by means of a conscious manifestation of neutralizing force that fills up the interval, between the active and the passive forces. With the second interval the situation is more complicated. Something is missing between the planets and the earth. Planetary influences cannot pass to the earth, consecutively and fully. An additional shock is therefore indispensable, the creation of some new conditions to ensure the proper passage of forces is required. The conditions to ensure the passage of forces are created by the arrangement of a special mechanism between the planets and the earth. This mechanical contrivance, this transmitting or relay station of forces, is organic life on Earth. Organic life on Earth was created to fill the interval between the planets and the Earth. Organic life represents, so to speak, the Earth's organ of perception, its receptors. Organic life forms something like a sensitive film that covers the whole of the globe, and takes in those influences from the planetary spheres that otherwise would not be able to reach the Earth. The animal, vegetable and human kingdoms are equally important for the Earth in this regard. A field merely covered with grass takes in planetary influences of a definite kind, and transmits or relays these to the Earth. The same field with a crowd of people on it will take in and transmit or relay other influences to the Earth. The population of Africa takes in planetary influences of another kind, of Asia a different kind, and so on. All great events in the lives of humankind are caused by planetary influences. They are the result of the taking in of planetary influences. Human society is a highly sensitive mass for the reception of planetary influences, and any accidental small tension in planetary spheres can be reflected for years as an increased animation in one or other sphere of human activity. Something accidental or very transient takes place in planetary space, and this is immediately received by humankind. People begin to hate and to kill one another, justifying their actions by some theory of brotherhood, equality or love, social justice and fair play. Organic life is the organ of perception of the Earth, and at the same time it is an instrument of radiation. With the help of organic life, each portion of the Earth's surface occupying a given area sends in every moment certain kinds of rays in the direction of the Sun, the planets and the Moon. Everything that happens on Earth creates radiations of this kind, and many things happen simply because certain kinds of radiation are required from a certain place on the Earth's surface. There is also a difference in scale and a nonconformity in time that has to be understood, namely in the duration of events in the planetary world, and their reflection or impact upon human life and time, the significance of which shall become clearer later. No matter what takes place within the thin film of organic life on the globe, it always serves the interests of the Earth, the Sun, the planets and the Moon. Nothing unnecessary and nothing independent can happen in this organic film, because it was created for a definite purpose, and is merely subordinate. This can be illustrated in a diagram or reconstruction of the octave in which one of the links is organic life on Earth. This additional or lateral octave in the ray of creation begins in the Sun. The Sun, Su of the cosmic octave, begins at a certain moment to sound as Do, so Do. It is important to realize that every note of any octave, in the present example, any note in the cosmic octave, may represent Do of some other lateral octave issuing from it. Or it would be still more exact to say that any note of any octave may at the same time be any note of any other octave passing through it. In the adjacent example, So begins to sound as Do. Descending to the level of the planets, this new octave passes into Ti. Descending still lower, it produces three notes, La, So, Fa, that create and constitute organic life on Earth in the form that we know it. Mi of this octave blends with Mi of the cosmic octave. That is with the Earth, and Re with Re of the cosmic octave. That is with the Moon. This lateral octave shows that organic life represented in the diagram by three notes, has two higher notes. One on the level of the planets, one on the level of the Sun, and that lastly it also begins in the Sun. This contradicts the modern concept of life having originated, so to speak, from below, as having evolved. In this example, life comes from above, and is actually degenerating, because it is a consequence of the descending ray of creation. We can now discuss the roles of Mi and Re in the lateral octave, and see that it is clearly connected with the idea of food for the Moon. Obviously, some product of the disintegration of organic life goes to the Moon, and this must be Re. With regard to Mi, on the other hand, it is possible to speak quite differently. Organic life undoubtedly disappears into the Earth. The role of organic life in the structure of the Earth's surface is indisputable. There is the growth of coral islands, and limestone mountains, the formation of coal seams, and the accumulation of oil as carbon reserves. The alteration of the soil under the influence of vegetation, the growth of vegetation in lakes, the formation of rich arable and friable soils by worms, the change of climate due to the drainage of swamps, the destruction of forests, desertification, global warming, El Niño or El Niña currents, and many other things that we know of and do not know of. All these are examples of organic life impacting on or integrating with the Earth, and this is the role of Mi in the disintegrating lateral octave, known as organic life on Earth. In addition to this, the lateral octave shows with particular clarity how easily and how correctly things are classified in this system. Everything anomalous, unexpected and accidental disappears, and in its place an immense strictly thought out plan of the universe begins to reveal itself to us.